You see, the Redmi 9 when it first came out in July of 2020, it was already a great budget smartphone once again from Xiaomi. But now that this phone was already released a few months ago means that prices have also already dropped. And in this video, we're going to talk about exactly why it is so good and why you may want to get one of these right now. Hello there everybody, BlueCJ here, and today I'm going to review one of Xiaomi's great entry-level smartphones, and it's the Redmi 9. Basically, if you want good performance from a budget smartphone before 2021, and if you also want one with a decent 1080p display and a great battery, then I'd easily recommend you this phone. It almost checks all the boxes that you would want and need in a budget phone, and the price is only $130 or 6,499 pesos. If you ask me, I think that's a really great deal. Of course, this phone has some intentional cuts that Xiaomi had to make, like for example there's no IP rating so it's not water resistant, and the build quality and the speaker are a bit of a step down from the Redmi 5 that I reviewed months ago. And if you look back at maybe 3 to 5 years ago, honestly you would almost never see a phone this good at this price. So let's start with the exterior of the Redmi 9. Obviously it's a big phone at a display size of 6.53 inches, and compared to the previous generations, this phone actually resembles some of the high-spec phones that are flagships, and they're doing that with these slim bezels, the dot drop notch that they call, and of course the quad cameras at the back. $130 phones used to be pretty small and most likely have big bezels, but it looks good. Now it is made out of plastic, which is a step down from the aluminum build that the Redmi 5 had, but I don't really mind because higher performance is definitely more important to me than build quality. The advantage here though is that while this phone is big, it's a little lighter than other phones at this size that have a metal build. It also has Gorilla Glass 3, which is good. You definitely have some resistance there, and overall I think that the build quality is good. It has a fingerprint scanner, which is actually fast but not the fastest obviously. Like other Xiaomi phones, you have the power button on the right side, and above that are your volume controls. Once again, these are pretty good buttons, they're very clicky and they're also firm. Now let's talk about the display of this phone. As I said earlier, it's huge. It's a 6.53 inch IPS LCD display at 1080p, which you actually don't see that often in this price range, so that's pretty good. It gets bright enough for normal outdoor usage, and the color is good too for a display that's this big. The speaker, like I said, is also a bit of a downgrade from the Redmi 5. It definitely gets as loud as that, but it's a little tinny and you lose some clarity once you turn up the volume. Once again, not a huge deal for me since I often use wireless earbuds when listening to music. For video and podcast though, it's an okay speaker. So overall, I think that the media experience on this phone is also great for gaming and watching videos. It has that USB Type-C port, and I think that's another great feature of this phone because a lot of gadgets still use micro USB and it's almost 2021. And then you have a headphone jack, which might not be so necessary for you in today's world of wireless audio, but hey, it's a nice feature now that phones are slowly getting rid of the headphone jack. The battery is huge, it's a 5020 mAh cell, and it's as great as you expect it to be. I usually get around 6 to 7 hours of screen on time, and that's while scrolling through social media, messaging, watching videos on YouTube, and a bit of gaming. If you're going to use it a bit more heavily though, like playing games or editing videos, you're still going to get maybe 5 to 6 hours of battery, which is actually still great. And for the charging speed, you can charge this phone from 30 to 100 in about 2 hours because of the 10-watt charger that they include in the box. Obviously this is a Xiaomi phone, so you are going to get MIUI 11 here along with Android 10, and for me, I actually like it. It includes some neat little features here like the Game Turbo that can basically block flooding notifications and can also prioritize the internet bandwidth specifically for your games. It has a split screen mode which makes good use of that huge display, and overall it's a good software experience. Once again, you have these fluid gestures which I still really like, and actually like even more now that this is a significantly quicker phone than my previous one. It does have some ads and some preloaded apps, but at least you can uninstall most of them, and because this is Android, you can easily drop a neat launcher here and it'll work just fine. So now what about the performance? Well, the base model of this phone starts at 3GB RAM, 32GB storage, which I wouldn't buy, and this one is actually the 4GB RAM, 64GB version. As you'd expect, it's not going to be laggy at all while scrolling through your apps, and it'll handle just about any game with some minor frame drops. I've been playing NBA 2K20, PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, Asphalt 9 Legends, and all of them run really well. Better than I expected actually. You get around 60 FPS most of the time, and overall it's a fun and smooth experience. And now let's look at the camera side of this phone. It has a 13 megapixel main sensor at f2.2, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 5 megapixel macro, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor for all of your portrait shots. You're mostly going to be taking photos with the main one, and for a $130 phone, I'd say that it's alright. Obviously, it's not going to be any good if you're going to bring this to some low light environment, but you get the idea. Give these cameras enough light and they'll be fine. The dynamic range is actually better than I expected in harsh lighting, as you can see right here, and the detail is fine. Color is okay, but I think that the best thing about these cameras is that they're very responsive and the shutter speed is also fast. The ultra-wide is fine, as well as the macro camera. For selfies, it's also better than I expected, and you can actually take portrait shots with it, and the edge detection is actually quite accurate in good lighting conditions. I would say that the cameras are fine. You're not really buying this phone for photos, so I think you wouldn't mind to. So that's the Redmi 9. Honestly impressed at what Xiaomi has been able to offer at this entry-level price range, and you shouldn't take it for granted. The display is good, battery is really great, performance is also great, and while the cameras may not be as good as some other ones, they're fine overall. Cheap phones are definitely getting a lot better now, and it's only going to get better in the future. And by the way, buying 2 of these is actually still less than a pair of AirPods Pro. Anyway, that's been it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 200 subscribers before the end of the year, so I would really appreciate it. Stay blue, my friends. Goodbye.